What's up, everybody? Okay, do you guys know that even if we all ate the same and exercised the same, that we would all still look completely different? I'm Lacey Green, a super trainer with Body. That's BODI.com. And I'm telling you, this is something you need in your life. The app is about feeling amazing as we help you get life-changing results. That's called Health Esteem. Feeling good about yourself right now as you work on the person you are becoming using Body's easy-to-follow programs. Body isn't just some app. It's a day-by-day plan, and it's people, it's trainers, delicious meal planning, and even positive mindset experts. And Body features my program for beginners only, which you have to try even if you've never worked out a day in your life. And here's how I'll make it a total no-brainer. Join Body today and you can get 1 month free. That's a $29 value. A full free month just for joining today and letting me help you start your lifestyle transformation. I do not want you to miss this free month offer. Just go to body.com. That's body with an I.com.
After all the scaremongering about the heat, 100% of the people currently listening to this podcast are still alive. Answer that, science. I'm Harriet Langley-Swindon, and this is Non-Censored. Welcome back to Non-Censored, the best bits from the week of my wildly popular and much listened to radio show. I am, as always, joined by my producer, Martin. Hello.
It's been a hot one, that's for sure, hasn't it? Still a little sticky, to be honest.
Yes, it's been very hot and very sticky. But to those people complaining, sort yourself out, just buy a fan. We had a lot on the show this week. There were some things, as always, wasn't there, Martin, that we just couldn't fit in. We had Alexander Pettifer, the former royal nanny for Harry and William, in the studio. But sadly, we had no time to fit her interview onto the podcast.
Yes, there were also some questions as to how you got her to agree to come on the show. You told her it was a Tatler interview, didn't you? That's naughty.
That's just journalism, Martin. Honestly,
yes.
Little white lies, that's how you get ahead.
Sure, what's a little white lie between friends?
Exactly,
and
Martin.
Professional colleagues.
Also, we talked about J-Lo and Ben Affleck getting married, but she's no longer J-Lo. She's now J-Aff, as she's taken his name.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's so lovely when a woman takes the man's name. I don't go with all of this modern stuff of keeping your own name, unless, of course, you're like myself, and I have to because I'm a strong professional woman. But I just think it's wonderful. I can't stand it, though I have to say the other way around. When the man takes the woman's name, what are you? What absolute wimp.
I mean,
Gross.
I did take my wife's name, of course, as you know, you were there.
Also, please remember that tickets are still available for our live show on September the 10th. You can get them at kingsplace.co.uk, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So please do get your tickets now. The leadership debate is still rolling on. It's just down to the final two, Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. So, of course, we had Liz on the show. Unfortunately, we couldn't get Rishi, but we did have Roger Moore, the journalist who knows all about him. Let's have a listen. Welcome, Liz. How are you feeling? It's just you and Rishi now.
Yes, hello, Harriet. Yes, it's all going very well. My campaign has immediately hit the ground.
Yes, hit the ground running, I think is what you mean there.
I have no time for exercise. I'm on the ground with my campaign.
Right, wonderful. Now, Liz, this campaign has been called the nastiest leadership campaign in Conservative history. Do you worry about that you're just sort of tearing each other apart?
I do worry that the country at the moment, a population of almost 175,000, have the option to vote for one of the most unpleasant, unkind bullies that has ever run for leadership. And I am, of course, I don't want to speak ill of a colleague, but I am talking about Rishi Sunak.
Right. So you think Rishi Sunak is not a good idea for Prime Minister? I mean, you've said that he's going in the wrong direction on tax.
Yes, he's going in the wrong direction on that. He said we can't lower taxes. Well, I'm sorry, but that all sounds like a former leader of this country who ruined this country. I am, of course, talking about the all-powerful, weak, ineffectual Jeremy Corbyn. Well, Rishi, look at the evidence. Not wearing a tie, wants to not lower taxes. That's communism.
Thank you. I always think it's very good to draw our listeners' attention to the damage that Jeremy Corbyn did to this country, because it's not been great for this country for a while now. And I think we all know the root of the problem.
Yes, it is the former leadership. I will name no names, but I had absolutely nothing to do with that disgrace. Nothing. And that is why I have hit the floor.
Hit the floor running, isn't it?
As leader, I will promise so much that I can definitely do. For example, lower taxes from day one.
Day one.
Yes, they'll be much lower.
Wonderful. Now, I hope you don't mind. I'm going to draw your attention to some negative things that have been said to you by your peers.
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Lord Hayward said that you would be an easier target as PM, as you haven't performed well in debates. And Lord Hayward is known by some as a sort of mystic Meg of polling. So, he knows his stuff.
Yes, well, he says I'm no good in debates. Well, I say that Lords, he couldn't even hit the floor ground.
Well, Lord Hayward, if you're listening, I think that's answered your question. Beware Liz Truss. Now, Liz, many people have remarked on your uncanny likeness to Margaret Thatcher in the first debate. But now Rishi has said that he is the heir to Margaret Thatcher. He says that he's running as a Thatcherite and he will govern as a Thatcherite. Who do we believe, Liz? We just want her back. I mean, do we do a ritual? Which one of you is it?
I don't think anyone should do a ritual, to be honest. I'm not sure we should encourage that kind of behaviour.
But
sorry,
Martin, sometimes you try. I tried it last Sunday. Sometimes you have to try it.
Hello, Martin.
Well, I mean, it's just dangerous. Oh, hello.
Hi, Martin. I saw you.
Thank you for coming on the show, of course.
Saw you looking, Martin.
Well, yeah, that's me. I'm sort of silently sitting in the background, just making sure all the knobs and dials are in the right place.
Oh, I bet.
He is contracted to look.
Yes, well, I saw him looking.
I wasn't staring. That was just. Is this
Martin? You shouldn't.
I know.
Can I just say, Martin, you shouldn't come on to our guests.
I'm not. I mean, I'm a married man. I'm a married man.
Yes, well, they all say that. That's what they all say.
I might just chip in with Liz. You have distanced yourself from the current government, and yet you were very much a part of it. So, how do you reconcile that?
Having not been a part of this government, I can honestly say that I'm loyal to the position of Foreign Secretary, which is why I did not resign. I couldn't because we were, if you hadn't noticed, Martin, at war. And that war was, I was in Russia. Hang on. Ukraine. Sorry, because it sounds like UK. But so I couldn't. I had to do it, and I like flying around.
I do want to say you've said you will stand down people who talk down our country. You've said you will reject dehumanizing identity politics.
Mm-hmm.
You will get rid of cancel culture and the voices of decline.
Yes, no more
powerful
voices.
Words.
No more decline. No more voices. No more cancel, and definitely no more culture under my leadership on the ground.
Thank you very much, Liz.
Thank you, everyone.
Now, we couldn't get Rishi, unfortunately, to join us, but we have the next best thing. We have a journalist who has been following his career closely. I am, of course, talking about the renowned journalist Roger Moore. Roger, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Harriet. It's wonderful to be here, finally.
So we are now neck and neck. Is it Liz? Is it Rishi? We've already heard from Liz, but we wanted for balance to talk to you because you obviously, you know Rishi very well. Well, you know his career very well. You've been following his career closely, I think, for some time.
Yeah. I mean, as an independent journalist, it's important to maintain impartiality, which I do in my job.
Me too. Yes,
writing for a Spectator. But as a playing field, this isn't level at all. Speaking totally impartially, Harry, it's not level at all. On the one hand, you have professionalism, the dedication, the go-getting attitude, the half-mast shirt sleeves of Rishi.
Yes.
And on the other side, you have the human hand grenade.
But sorry, Roger, isn't the human hand grenade, that was actually a compliment. Because Nadine said that actually she's a human hand grenade because, like all grenades, she comes in and pow, everything gets done in a big explosive way.
Well, let's just say, Harriet, I've got some friends on the inside, and they say it's very much not a compliment.
Quite
the opposite.
You wouldn't know that, would you, from the phrase?
Roger, you wouldn't know that. No.
Roger, I do just have to ask. You talk about the impartiality, but you did go to school with Rishi, didn't you?
Oh, Martin, who cares? Who cares? That doesn't matter. It's not to do with anything. I'm sorry, Roger.
I think he was. I think that was a while ago.
You went to Stroud School in Hampshire, and then you also went to Winchester College together.
Sorry, I grew up. Producer Martin, I grew up with your wife.
Who is Martin, Harriet? You didn't talk about Martin.
Producer Martin, I'm sorry about him, Roger. He's the producer. He has to, every now and again, he comes in with some stupid wokey fact.
Well, Harriet, as you know, as I've told you at many a soiree, I'm a professional journalist. I take my job very seriously. Impartiality, cut me and I bleed transparent. I'm so neutral. It's clear, like Vaseline or something.
Roger, I remember you saying this when we were having drinks with, who was it, with Pretty, and that's you said that then, and we all, I mean, it really struck me. It was such a sort of moving moment.
Yeah, and then to have to come on here and have your producer claim that there's some kind of bias here. I'm
not saying that you are, biased. It's just it seems interesting that you did spend an awful lot of time in the same vicinity.
Yeah, but I was also at school with lots of people, and I don't know them.
Yes, that's a really good point.
Thank you so much, Harriet. And if I may continue, sorry for no more interruptions from producer Martin. I really do think Rishi is the man for this job.
And how have you come to that conclusion? Is that just from seeing how good he is with his little numbers and
his arms,
his campaigns are very good, very good. Funny with the names,
eloquent, and if you see him speak in his videos, his arm movement, Harriet, movement.
I do want to stick up for Liz here. I do feel that her hand movements are sort of wavy, like a sort of like a little puppet, isn't it?
Yes. You may say that, but there are sources that I've heard of that say it is actually a brain defect. Sources inside the guy. I can't say who.
Right.
A journalist must protect his sources.
Is that on the down low? Wow, brilliant.
Absolutely on the down low. But they say it's some kind of, disease.
Well, I think I can speak for all of our listeners. They won't breathe a word. Yeah,
that's good to know. And again, speaking entirely impartially, I just don't think she is the woman to lead this country. I think it's, ready for Rishi. And this is me speaking as a journalist, an impartial journalist.
Yes. You're very impartial.
Incredibly impartial. And
again, I hate to sort of bang on about this, but it says here that you actually attended Rishi's wedding and were in the party as a groomsman.
Can't remember.
Helped organise the
Martin. How is this relevant? I don't go on about the fact that I, sort of had a brief fling with Boris Johnson.
No, you don't.
I mean, I don't on air.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I've heard that story quite a lot.
Big fingers.
Actually, but I mean, I just feel that maybe, there's nothing wrong with having friends, but perhaps when they are the person that you're reporting about and you're reporting...
Can I just, sorry, Martin, I'm going to interrupt.
Please do, Harry.
Can I just say that I've known Roger a long time, and we had a wonderful dinner party. Oh God, who was
the one with Andrew Neil?
Who was it with?
Andrew Neil.
Yes, that's
he was
right.
at the top of the table, wasn't he?
Andrew Neil.
Off his
Oh,
tits.
he really was, and he was in, and then Jeremy Hunt back when he was in Favour. Jeremy Hunt was there. But what was very clear, Martin, was that we had some good debates, and Roger was always very impartial. Very impartial.
In fact, Andrew Neil, sozzled though he was, and he did comment, I think you remember, Harriet, during his 47-minute speech, at how impartial I was.
Yes,
he called me
he
the
did
most
do that.
impartial.
It was kind of hard at that point to work out exactly what he was saying.
It was kind of like a sort of Scottish buzz, but yeah, very impartial.
Yes, it was. Yes, but I think that was probably the gist of it.
Probably around,
yes.
yeah. And David Cameron said the same.
It does feel like there's maybe quite a lot of an overlap between your career and the your friendships, extracurricular times.
So what are you talking about?
Are you journalist? I'm the journalist here.
Yes, I'm not a journalist.
Yeah, I'm the journalist here.
No, that's very
impartial.
Fair.
Winchester. Yeah.
Yes.
Oxford.
Yes.
Yeah.
He did go to Oxford,
yeah.
Martin. That is something
Both
you need to keep in mind.
Yeah.
Often.
Sorry, Harry. I lost my cool bit.
Roger, don't worry. Listen, delighted that you came on the show. and let's get ready for Rishi.
Yes,
is what I
hashtag ready
say.
for Rishi. If you want to donate, readyforrishi.com/donate. I'll be there. And, the hustings and...
Roger Moore, thank you. Now, we had a really good debate in this week's Hot and Spicy Takeaway. You can make up your own mind. Producer Martin brought facts, but Eshaan Akbar brought opinions and, dare I say it, a lot of charisma.
I feel like facts may have taken a bit of a drubbing this week, but I'm sure they'll win overall. Otherwise the human race is probably quite.
Well, I don't know. Facts are very wokey. Anyway, let's take a listen. Eshaan Akbar, what is your hot and spicy takeaway of the week this week?
Well, my hot and spicy, and it is a very hot and spicy takeaway of the week, isn't it? Is that this balmy weather, which some people are saying is because of climate change, is actually because of immigration. You see, there's this old adage that says something to the tune of, "Oh, you've brought the weather with you." When someone goes from one place to another, and it's very nice. This increase in immigration has led to people generally from countries which tend to be hotter to come over to the UK. And that is reflected in the weather that we've got now. As more and more people come from hotter climates, they bring the weather with them. So what we're experiencing now is the peak of Britain's immigration status. And all this beautiful, hot, Middle Eastern, South Asian, Caribbean weather is what we're getting in Stoke. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
Is this scientifically proven, this theory?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, you've been clubbing before, Harriet, haven't you? You've been to the old club and cut some shapes here and there.
Well, yes, not for a while, but yes, I have, yes.
Yes. In fact, I remember seeing you in a club once. I believe you went with your sister and everyone was talking to her.
We don't need to talk
really
about my sister on this podcast, please.
If you go to a club, as more and more people go into the club gets hotter, doesn't it? And sometimes in some of these clubs, they turn the sprinklers on just to cool everybody down. But it's heat. And then there's that famous song from, I think it might be Usher or something. It's getting hot in here, so take off all your... That one.
I think it's Nelly.
I think that's Drake.
That's Drake, one of them too. So when you go to a club, it gets hotter, and that's just science. The more people there are in a limited space, the hotter it gets as everybody's body temperatures increase the temperature surrounding that area. So the same thing is happening in the United Kingdom. We've got limited space, but the more people that are coming in, the hotter it gets. And these people are coming from really nice hot places, and therefore we've got beautiful hot weather. So it's not climate change. It's immigration.
How interesting. I'd never thought of it like that. Sorry, producer Martin, what do you want to say?
No, I've just got to question the science behind it. I'm fairly certain that all you've brought the weather with you is more of just a sort of an old saying, almost like a metaphor or just a kind.
Well, it's a jolly song, isn't it?
Yeah, and also
it's a jolly song. By
metaphors and old wives' tales, they come from some semblance of truth. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Absolutely. Have you ever had a bird in your hand and taken it into a bush?
I can't say I have, but I still don't see how this applies to the climate science. I mean, there seems to be general consensus amongst the climate scientists that the world is getting hotter, that these hot days that we've been having are absolutely directly attributed to the carbon that we're releasing. There's human influence.
It's so boring. Climate change. Why are people trying to make us feel bad? We just want there's some sun out now. We can sunbathe. If you're too hot, turn up your air conditioning or sit by your pool. Come on.
Or if you're lucky enough, get some of your maids and manservants to fan a bit quicker. But look, climate change is real, but climate change is immigration.
It's so interesting, this, because of course we also know that gays cause thunderstorms.
Of course.
So I mean, you've got that. It's these minorities. They have a big effect.
Honestly, I don't know if you've ever been to a gay club, but the more and more people in there, the sweatier it gets. Often there's just water all over the floor, just slipping and sliding. It's like I'm in a water slide. It's just
I went with my friend Darren, and that's what we found when we went.
Anyone's sexuality does necessarily affect the weather systems. I mean, I can agree that immigration does have a part in climate change. I mean, if you're traveling by aeroplane, that will be a massive amount of carbon that's being put into the atmosphere, and we've got to cut down in our air travel. I suppose
I don't know. There's quite a few on dinghies and boats, and I think they're quote unquote environmentally more friendly. And this is the thing: a lot of immigrants come over. They don't really care about the environment. It's not that sort of thing that they're bothered about.
Yes.
Like maybe they had a threat to their lives that was somewhat greater than...
Listen, if you're worried about it, if you're worried about how hot it is, let's just have a scheme to get more Eskimos into the UK, and it will balance it out, and we'll have like Eskimos and other immigrants just living side by side to have an optimum.
Sorry, Eshaan, that's a lot of immigrants.
I think the term is Inuit as well.
But if we send the immigrants to Rwanda, are they going to make Rwanda hotter?
Yeah, Rwanda's already quite hot, isn't it?
Yes,
and
it's quite
what
hot.
will happen is if you send more immigrants to Rwanda, it would be almost too hot, I think.
Eshaan, are you saying that expats from the UK moving to Spain and whatnot, they're actually bringing down the temperatures in those countries?
Yeah.
Is that what
yeah, absolutely. I mean, they go there because they think, it's lovely and hot. But the more Daves and Dans and Martins fly over to Spain, the cooler and cooler it gets. Because I don't know if you know this about white skin, but it absorbs the sun in such a way that their skin starts burning, and that burning reduces the power of the sun in those places.
That is...
See, producer Martin, this is why I like having Eshaan on this programme, because he does have this wonderful knowledge that isn't burdened by facts and actual research.
I've got to say, I know we're non-censored, but I am a little concerned that we're going to get one of those little banners underneath when we post this.
You're always concerned. Everything with you is just concerned.
I'm always on the side of balance. Sitting on the fence.
Yeah, that's the problem. And if you sit on the fence for too long,
you get a good view of both sides.
It gets wedged up your arsehole.
Renueva tu estilo de otoño en JCPenney. Descubre grandes ofertas en modelos versátiles que puedes combinar con piezas tuyas, como un blazer y pantalón de pierna ancha Worthington con tu blusa favorita, o un suavecito suéter St. John's Bay con tu camiseta preferida. Y combina una chaqueta Stafford con uno de los clásicos en tu closet. Con un par de piezas versátiles puedes crear múltiples looks únicos y extraordinarios. Eleva tu estilo de otoño y ahorra. JCPenney. Vale la pena.
At a time when we are deciding which two versions of conservatism we want to win the next election, it's important to remember that we have an awful alternative. So I was delighted to have communism's official spokesperson come on the show. I am, of course, talking about the Darth Vader of the left, Owen Jones. Now, our guest today has probably upset you at some point, whether it be in The Guardian, The New Statesman, Twitter, or his podcast. I am, of course, talking about the far-left activist, Owen Jones. Owen, welcome to the show.
Why, hello there. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming on. It's wonderful that you were brave enough to come on.
Well, I always say, I don't live in my little, what you call the far-left echo chamber.
Yes.
Always a pleasure to meet people with, I think it's fair to say we've got one or two differences of opinion. So it's nice to have a bit of an exchange of, that's democracy, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
Yes. And I'm all for democracy. And on this programme, we are all about hearing opposing views, even if they're Marxist ones. So let's get into it. Now, Owen, I think what I wanted to start with really is obviously you're very quote unquote wokey. Someone I think once called you the little prince of woke. I think that was at a dinner party I had a few nights ago. What would you say is your vision of a classroom in 2050? I mean, is it children having to register their pronouns and ethnic identities before being allowed to speak? Or is it only letting the white class people speak sort of 5% of the time? Or where do you see the future going?
Well, obviously, we'd nationalise everyone's children to begin with and place them under revolutionary, socialist, democratic control. We probably wouldn't do that, to be fair. No, I think what we do with the classroom, I suppose the problem with the classroom often, it's quite hierarchical. So I like the idea of people able to express their different opinions, get a bit of classroom discussion on a whole range of issues. We had Section 28. We weren't allowed to talk about LGBTQ issues. So I think, obviously, we'd have probably enforce the LGBTQ agenda on our children. No, we allow them to discuss LGBTQ issues so that people felt comfortable to talk about their sexuality, to talk about their gender identity, without feeling constrained, without feeling that they'll be judged, something like that.
But I mean, you talk about discussion, but actually, if you don't mind me saying, you're sort of famous for cancelling people. People on the centre and the right are sort of running scared. Who will be cancelled by Owen Jones next? So you talk about discussion in a classroom, but is that just about, sexuality? What about if someone wants to discuss about, I don't know, how they don't like old people very much? Because a lot of us don't.
Well, I mean, I don't think we should encourage hatred towards pensioners as a general principle in our education. I mean, it's especially, I suppose a lot of pensioners would be your natural demographic, politically speaking. You don't probably want to write off just electors. Politically speaking, they tend to be probably more aligned with your political worldview than mine. But obviously, no, you can't have children probably encouraged to believe you should hate grannies. I think maybe probably dial that one down a little.
But that's free speech, though, isn't it? That's free speech.
When people talk about free speech often, they kind of, it's portrayed as though it means you're able to say something without being challenged. So, for example, if you said something offensive, well, I found it offensive, not that, that necessarily everything you say is offensive, but a large proportion, but you have the right to say it, but I have the right to respond and to say, well, I think that's bad. But a lot of people then, the people who call themselves free speech warriors, go, no, you can't respond or challenge to me, and if you do, you've cancelled me somehow.
Well,
I don't know. I mean, what does cancel mean?
Well, you have to understand that when you challenge somebody, if you do that in a way which incites name calling, that is a cancellation. Look at Lawrence Fox. He's now he's had to relegate his career to GB News talk radio, spiked. He can only talk in a certain bubble because he's been rejected by society, by the woke left.
Well, I don't think the woke left run
Yes.
Good Morning Britain, do they? I mean, he's been on Good Morning Britain and he made a right idiot out of himself. People confuse, don't they, the right to a platform and the right to freedom of speech. So if, for example, I had a megaphone and I said, well, do you want to buy my megaphone? And you used it and then started yelling things which I thought were pretty outrageous, I might go, can I have my megaphone back now? But that's not stopping your freedom of speech. You could go and say all those terrible things as much as you want to your heart's content, but you just can't use my megaphone. And that's the same with like ITV. You know, if you look through the UN Charter of Human Rights, it says right to freedom of speech, right to assemble democratically, right to free elections, but it doesn't say the right to appear at 7:25 a.m. on Good Morning Britain.
Actually, no, you do make some good points. For example, when people can be horrible about me, I don't mind. I'm tough. I can cope with that. But, you know, as a result, I have had to sue quite a lot of people for libel. So it's like that, isn't it? It's consequence speech. And in that way, I suppose we agree.
I mean, I suppose I'd say that's the problem, is it? Libel laws are a threat to freedom of speech because if you're someone who doesn't have very much money and someone threatens to sue you, you're kind of a bit stuck because you can't really afford to fight back. So actually, I mean, isn't that just squashing freedom of speech?
No, I'm sorry, Owen. I feel like you are once again discriminating against people with money. Oh, what? Because they have money, they're not allowed to defend themselves. They're not allowed to financially cripple the little people. It's not their fault. This is not their fault. They've got lots of money.
I just think calling them the little people is probably not what we want. So maybe if we just go,
Martin, it's statistically correct.
I can.
Poorer people are smaller because they don't have good posture.
Right. I am going to have to just jump in with some of the listener questions, if that's all right, Owen. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
We've got this one. It's a multiple choice. We're asking for a little response from each. So, famously, you don't trust Keir Starmer to be your prime minister, okay? But would you trust him to be a milk monitor?
I mean, I would prefer him to be prime minister than Boris Johnson, obviously, if we're going to get bogged down on the whole PM question. But in terms of milk monitors, I think the problem is, given his leadership campaign where he said, you know, we're going to nationalise utilities and we're going to scrap tuition fees and various other commitments which he's rode back on, I think he'd go, do you want some milk? And then you'd end up with some like stale water instead.
Okay, well, that sounds like a vote against milk monitor. We've got another role here, a bit more responsibility, a lollipop lady or man or person, a lollipop person.
A lollipop person, yeah, sure. Again, I think what would happen there, I'm trying to think, how would a lollipop person betray and let down the commitments? I think
maybe just letting the children get run over. Just one or two.
Maybe that would happen. I was trying to avoid that because I just thought it was getting a bit dark.
It is a dark story, isn't it? Yes.
I didn't as well, whatever criticism I have of Keir Starmer, want to end up being sued by him for suggesting that he would allow children to be run over at zebra crossings. I just thought that's not the kind of spat I was trying to engage with the leader of the Labour Party.
I'm very keen to keep us all out of
You don't want to call him a child
disputes.
killer.
It never ends well.
No, I don't want, Keir Starmer, the psychopathic lollipop person who allows children to be smashed down by HGVs.
I'm sure we won't edit out that to just be a standalone quote.
And don't worry, we always edit people to make sure they look really good on this program.
Yeah, I trust you for that. Of course, I know whatever disagreements we have. I know journalism. You wouldn't betray that basic principle.
Yes, completely.
Yeah, just one more.
Right.
So you wouldn't necessarily trust him to be a milk monitor, possibly not a lollipop person. How about a Guardian columnist? Huh?
Well, again, I think the problem there, being a Guardian columnist, is, again, I'm just going to stick to my theme, is it'd be a nightmare for the editors because he'd pitch and he'd go, hey, guys, can I write a story about the scandal of homelessness on our streets? And they'd be like, yeah, we actually do need some copy about that. It's really bad. And then he'd just send in some copy where he'd just written over and over again, I'm a massive lemon. I like oranges.
Yeah, fruit-based column.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, do you see what I mean? It'd just be like all citrusy. It'd be a load of very random citrus-related trivia as well.
Why
Maybe
would he be
he'd
writing
say-
about? Why would he be writing about fruit? And I don't.
It does sound quite fun,
I don't
though.
understand.
What I'm trying to say is, I don't know why I got bogged down with the kind of citrus.
No, we all
alleyway.
like talking about fruit. Sometimes it happens.
I also like the sound of citrus alleyway. That sounds delicious.
It does. Citrus, yeah, I get that. But again, I think what I'm trying to kind of really narrow, sort of hammer away at. You can tell I'm a writer, really eloquent, is that I think he would promise to deliver something and he would give something very different of a very bad quality that's not relevant, is what I was trying to say.
But I think what's interesting, Owen, is you are rather critical of your own party, which is something I have to say on the right, on the political right, we don't do. We're loyal to the end. I mean,
Theresa
does this
May?
mean she doesn't count, Owen?
Why doesn't she count?
She fluffed up Brexit and she did that strange little dance. It was very embarrassing, and I'm afraid people like that, they
The
don't
least
count.
offensive thing she did, Theresa May, to be honest with
I
you.
liked what she did as Foreign Secretary. Home Secretary. I thought she did some marvelous work there. But
Is that deporting migrants?
yes,
Well, not just that. She deported, of course, Windrush Black Britons who belonged in this country and denied them the services they depended
But
on.
anyway, look, I don't want to defend Theresa May because I think she didn't deliver on Brexit, which Boris Johnson has now done, and that's what it is. And I think where I'm really sort of getting at is obviously there was this whole thing where the red wall, we turned it blue. You're red, Owen. Do you think we could
yeah.
tempt you over to the blue side? You know, you don't like Keir Starmer. It is very either or, isn't it?
It turns out it isn't. No. It turns out you could just say. I mean, I think the difference is, I suppose, the problem I have with Keir Starmer is I think he's. But I think Boris Johnson's really, 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 really. So, yeah, I mean, because the phenomenon that I've kind of got used to is because I'm a tedious Labourite who just votes Labour every single election in my entire life. A lot of people yell at me on the internet who were voting Liberal Democrat in 2019.
Yeah, well, all those people should all be shot.
Well, we've got some common ground there. But they all voted Lib Dem, and then they're like, anyone who doesn't support Keir Starmer is a Tory, because if you don't support the Labour leader against the Tories, then you're a Tory. Yeah, no, I think what the problem I have with Keir Starmer is he's moved too close to the Tories. So it's not. It would kind of be weird if I joined the Tories because I thought Keir Starmer had become too like the Tories. I want them to be less like the Tories, like less. They're too like.
Yes, but you've got to pick your tribe, Owen. You can't sort of fanny around in the middle. I mean, that's why the Liberal Democrats are so pointless. You've got to pick one or the other.
But it isn't. I mean, should politics be a football game? But maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe,
yes, I think it should.
Maybe we should all be citizens who think to ourselves, well, actually, we should scrutinise all politicians, whoever they are, and even if we have to do what I do, which is go into a voting booth and go, well, I guess I have to vote for the Labour Party again, which is traumatic.
I mean, I'm sorry, this is the problem with you. You're too extreme. Now, I want to quote my good friend Julia Hartley-Brewer, who I think compared you to ISIS.
She did compare me to ISIS. I think there's a lot of similarities. It's because I walked off a TV show, Sky News Preview.
That sounds like something ISIS would do.
I don't think, walking off TV sets in protest at the framing of a discussion on the mass murder of several gay people, I don't think it was very ISIS-y.
I think we can all agree ISIS is bad. I just want to put that out on the, for legal reasons that we're all anti-ISIS.
We're not fans of ISIS on this show.
Oh,
no.
and I know time's getting on. I just want to jump in with another quick question from the audience. Okay, so we know that you're from the north, but you studied in the south. So it's a fast fire round here. Here we go. So just the first thing that pops into your head. So Pulp or Radiohead?
Oh, Pulp, I think. Yeah, I'd go for Pulp. Oh, I've got a little trivia there. Because that's weird. Yeah, because my dad worked for Sheffield City Council, and he worked with the mum of, I think, the bassist from Pulp. That's my little claim to fame.
Well, that is great. I mean, it's absolutely
Not surprising.
misunderstanding how a fast fire round works, but I do appreciate the info there.
Oh, sorry.
Arctic monkeys or foals?
Foals.
And finally, Yorkshire puddings or education?
I mean...
I'm going to have to rush you.
Education, maybe, just for...
okay.
So, Owen, I do have... I know we've gone slightly over time. Have you got time for one more question?
Do hit me with it. Hit me with it hard.
So, obviously, you are a sort of self-described socialist, would you say?
I'm happy with that.
Are these really your beliefs, or do you just enjoy losing?
Well, I've become accustomed to losing, if that's what you mean. Yeah, I definitely didn't choose socialism for the thrill of always just being on the up. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, that is. It's not it's not been the most cheerful of last few years. But to be fair, for everyone of a vaguely progressive bent, it's been for your lot, you've like one never-ending party. For anyone who's kind of vaguely progressive, it's been like being repeatedly smacked in the face with a hammer. I think probably that's how it's certainly felt.
Yeah, that sounds very dour and lefty. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's not. I don't get off on losing. I'd quite like. Yeah, I quite like my beliefs to win eventually. We're taking the scenic route. We'll get there eventually. The scenic route.
Can I offer a little tip from one journalist to another? Why don't you consider writing for the Telegraph, and then you just have to write what people want to hear. People are happy. You're happy. The world goes on. You create a wonderful.
What would I write in the Telegraph? What would I write?
I don't know. You could talk about history and Winston Churchill or anything really. Or
could I talk about Winston Churchill's role in the Bengal famine in which 3 million died?
No, you couldn't talk about that. No, sorry. I think that's all we need. We have time for. Owen Jones, thank you very much for coming on the show.
It's a huge honour.
It is. That's it for this week. Please remember to tell your friends about the podcast. What can they do, Martin? They can say the things.
They can hit the subscribe button. It's been brought to my attention there is no like button, but if there was, I suggest that you hit it anyway. Just hit all of the nice buttons and 5 stars. That's what we're looking for.
5-star review,
5
please.
Big ones. And also you can write things in the little box. Say, oh, it's wonderful. It's like a pleasant holiday for my ears.
With thanks to Brendan Murphy, Rosie Holt, Eshaan Akbar, Sooz Kempner, Paul Dunphy, Ed Morrish, and special guest Owen Jones. And see you next week for another episode of Non-Censored.
Este es el mejor momento para preparar tu hogar para las fiestas y recibir a los invitados. Porque en The Home Depot encuentras ahorros de hasta 40% en baños seleccionados por Internet. Además de entrega gratis en todos los tocadores y grifos por Internet. Deja tu casa lista para esas visitas esperadas. Familia, amigos, vecinos y las inesperadas. Deja tu baño listo para las fiestas con ahorros de hasta 40% en tocadores y grifos en The Home Depot. Haces más, logras más.
Next time on a very spooky fine dining podcast, the season 1 finale, TGI Fridays the 13th. Oh, you betcha, pineapple's gonna hit the fan as Michael's son Juicy, or in this episode, Juice's son Voorhees, goes on a murderous rampage, and no one is safe. It gets real spooky, it gets real bloody, and not everyone's gonna make it to the end of the episode. Who will live, who will die? Listen to Fine Dining, the search for the most mediocre restaurant in America, break down a trip to TGI Fridays based on the atmosphere, the service, and the food, and try not to be scared to death. Hear the thrilling finale of Fine Dining, Wednesday, October 25th, wherever you get your podcasts.